Hi, today I'll explain the processes of what happens within your body when you inhale the smoke of a cigarette into your system, as described by the National Cancer Institute. Following this step-by-step procedure, I will follow up with a few examples of what may occur after repeated instances of smoking. The following is the step-by-step process of what occurs within your body with each drag you take from a cigarette. As you take your first hit, the smoke enters your respiratory system and causes irritation to the delicate yet protective mucosal lining in the lungs. The cigarette smoke you just inhaled consists of a mixture of toxic chemicals like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and nicotine that can severely harm your respiratory system. The lung's defense mechanism immediately attempts to discard these toxic fumes out of the body. How? This is the reason why you start coughing after you take a drag from a cigarette. It's just your body's way of excreting the toxins that you have just inhaled into your lungs, hence the name smoker's cough. When you inhale smoke from a cigarette even further into your lungs, it paralyzes the protective yet delicate mucosal lining and crumples not only your lungs, but your immune system as well. Now the cough disappears and the toxic gases travel through your blood to other body systems. Once nicotine enters the liver, it starts acting like a drug and stimulates the secretion of blood glucose. At the same time, it acts on the brain, causing an increase in heart rate and blood pressure. It stays in the blood for quite some time before it's excreted by the kidney and liver. You can now see how just one drag of smoke has the capacity to not only compromise your immunity, but also has the capabilities to tear a path for foreign bodies like bacteria and viruses. And this invites a host of illnesses. How good does that sound? Not to mention that the euphoria you feel from a cigarette wears off within minutes. Now you feel the need to smoke more and more to retain that effect. Now you're completely hooked. So what now? Smokers suffer from such drug damage on a daily basis with each passing cigarette. This is called an addiction. It should be noted that cigarettes affect not only the lungs, but also most of the vital organs of the body, including the brain and the heart. There is hardly any system in the human body which is not affected by smoking. I will now follow up with several results that originate from smoking. One of the many results from long-term smoking may be cardiovascular diseases. Cigarette smoking is just one of the major risks for hypertension and fatal heart attacks. The chemicals in the smoke lower the supply of oxygen to the heart, leading to cardiovascular diseases. The American Heart Association states that cigarette smoke is so widespread and significant as a risk factor that the Surgeon General has called it the leading preventable cause of disease and deaths in the U.S. Cigarette smoking increases the risk of coronary heart disease by itself. When it acts with other factors, it greatly increases the risk. Smoking increases blood pressure, it decreases exercise tolerance, and it increases the tendency for blood to clot. The American Heart Association also states that cigarette smoking is the most significant risk factor for young men and women. It produces a greater relative risk in persons under the age of 50 than in those over 50. Another long-term result from smoking is the risk of developing lung disorders. The National Cancer Institute states that the toxins in smoke can cause lung disorders like emphysema, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, bronchitis, and significant reduction in the functionality of the lungs. This is because the sacs in the bronchioles that are functional on oxygen and carbon dioxide exchanged or damaged. Smoker's cough is a common symptom that develops as the defense system tries to expel the chemicals accumulated in the air. Gradually, the respiratory system becomes more prone to infections due to lowered immunity. An effect that is more often overlooked is infertility in men and women. Thomas Maddox, a cardiologist for the Eastern Colorado healthcare system and professor of cardiology at the University of Colorado, states that smoking impacts women's health by causing infertility, miscarriages, complicated pregnancies, and early menopause. Smoking during pregnancy and breastfeeding can have hazardous effects on the baby in the early childhood, and also as they grow up. Smoking is also known to cause sperm abnormalities, leading to infertility in men. Here are just a few more effects caused by smoking, as listed by the American Heart Association. Nicotine affects the bones, joints, and muscles of the body. A single cigarette contains about 9 milligrams of nicotine. This amount of nicotine can cause severe harm to your body. Nicotine causes osteoporosis and hence increases chances of fractures and tissue injuries. Smoking may cause loss of taste, stained teeth, mouth sores, and receding gums as well. Sounds wonderful, huh? The effect of smoking in terms of causing strokes and brain hemorrhages is due to the deposition of plaque in blood vessels. This causes the narrowing of blood vessels and reduced blood circulation that may lead to stroke or paralysis. Here's yet a few more statistics about smoking, all of which are taken from the journals of Thomas Maddox. The first, time cut down from one's lifespan is approximately equal to the time indulged in smoking. 2. Every minute, 7 people die of tobacco use. 3. 49 carcinogenic compounds and 4,000 other toxins are contained in a single cigarette. More than 90% of lung cancer deaths are due to cigarette smoking as the fourth one. My conclusion? I've explained the process of what happens within the human body from every drag you take off of a cigarette and the effects that can result from repeating this action, which include, but are not limited to, cardiovascular disease, infertility in women and men, osteoporosis, strokes, and brain hemorrhages. Like I have said, smoking can cause all sorts of illnesses and diseases. The best way to avoid fates like this is to avoid it in general. Thank you.